This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Good morning, this is Dallas Peterson, Extension Weed Specialist at Kansas State University. And one of the big issues this coming year is the issues associated with planting Xtend soybeans and some of the non-target injury that we had to non-Xtend soybeans this past summer, and what we can do to try to mitigate that this coming season. Xtend soybeans are resistant to dicamba herbicide. Dicamba is an old herbicide and it has a history of causing issues when we have drift or non-target exposure to non-Xtend soybeans. But when it was introduced this past year, it was also introduced with 3 primary low volatile formulations of dicamba called Xtendimax, Fexapan, and Ingenia that have lower risk for volatility drift than the old formulations of dicamba. It was also introduced with 3 levels of labeling. They had a federal label, which read very similar to a clarity label as to which crops it could be applied to and how it was to be used. Each product also had a supplemental label that was specific to use on Xtend soybeans, and it was much more restrictive than the federal label, and in some cases kind of contradictory with the federal label. And then each product also had a corresponding website at which label updates could be made throughout the growing season. These didn't happen until about early last year, and as far as changes to the website, that actually didn't happen until starting in March and proceeded throughout the growing season. So it was rather confusing as to what these new label use guidelines were. We had very specific guidelines on what spray tips we could use, the spray pressures, tank mixes, do we need to add a drift reduction agent, and other restrictions regarding temperature inversions and buffers that we hadn't dealt with before. And so I think there was a lot of confusion associated with the use and application of these herbicides. We had hoped that there wouldn't be that many issues, but unfortunately there was a lot more problems with non-target injury, especially to soybeans, than we had hoped for. And as a result of that, there are a number of label changes to these products this coming year and additional requirements with their application. One of those changes is the requirement for anybody who wants to apply Xtendimax, Ingenia, or Fexapan is that they complete dicamba or auxin-specific training. We are currently in the process of providing that training at a number of different meetings throughout the state. K-State Research and Extension is offering that training at a lot of our meetings, but BASF, Monsanto, and DuPont will also be offering that training. To complete the training, you have to attend the meeting. You have to sign up with the required information. The participating training agencies then will provide that record of participation to the Kansas Department of Ag, and you will also receive a certificate or a card of proof that you did complete that training, and then that will allow you to make those applications. Other changes to those product labels include the fact that they are all now restricted use pesticides, and so that means only certified applicators can purchase them, and any application needs to be done in a direct supervision of a certified applicator and also by somebody that has the dicamba or auxin specific training. There are many other additional requirements for application this year. You can't spray if the wind is blowing in the direction of susceptible crops such as non-Xtend soybeans. You have to survey the area and document that in your record keeping for any other susceptible crops that might be in the vicinity of application. You have to abide by the buffer guidelines. You can only spray when there's 3 to 10 mile an hour wind. Again, you cannot spray during a temperature inversion. Temperature inversion information is available on the KSU Mesonet, and so you might want to take a look at that and kind of see when those temperature inversions are occurring. They occur most nights during the year, and they oftentimes begin about 2 hours before sunset and they end about an hour after sunrise. So when you consider all the restrictions on the applications, you actually do not have a lot of time during that growing season when you can stay in compliance with that label and avoid the potential for herbicide drift.
The new Better Horses Network is worldwide. Presented by Lucas Oil. Featuring worldwide radio and TV with iconic hosts like Al Dunning, Sharon Camarillo, Ernie Rodina, Lindy Birch, and Craig Cameron. With American Cowboy, Horse and Rider, Brushy Creek, Cavenders, and Ride TV. Worldwide radio and TV. The all-new Better Horses Network.